So we're in the chapel, and truly, did this chapel built on the cornerstone of the original orphanage?
Asking the architect, well, where is the center, the very centered cornerstone of the Children's Center? And they looked up their paperwork and they said, this is it, that's where it's at. So isn't it interesting that the cornerstone, the chapel wasn't in the original design either.
Really?
No, but the employees definitely wanted the chapels, and we always wanted the chapel also. So the employees raised the money for the chapel, and it's on the cornerstone of the hospital.
So it's really significant. So
Yeah.
from a founder standpoint, Mallory starting the Oklahoma orphanage and then moving it out here to Bethany. And then, talk to me a little bit about when you started, you weren't in this building that we're in now, obviously. The building looked totally different. What kind of facility were you walking into?
It was a very unkept facility. When Carol talks about, it had a great history, but it went through some hard times. So we had the opportunity to build upon the past, because if it wasn't for Mattie being called by God and all the great things that happened in the organization, we were able to build on the past. So it's not like we started from zero.
Sure.
We had a great organization, that loved the Lord, and so we built upon that past. And then the exciting thing is when we received the Reynolds Foundation grant, we were able to tear down part of the old building that we came into, build, and then tear down the rest. And now you see this building, which is the Reynolds complex, which was the first project that we built.
Wow. And so we're obviously in the Reynolds complex today. And you and I give tours, and people will say, gosh, I can't believe this building is even, it's now approaching 25 years old, and people go, it looks like it's brand new. So how do you attribute that to, just being able to make sure we maintain those investments?
I think that the people that we hire and the dedication that we have for the past, honoring ourselves to serve God like Mattie did, I think that's why the people are so diligent on taking care of this building. And so we never want to be in neutral.
Sure.
And I'm very excited about what this generation, you and the team is doing today. You continue moving forward.
One of the constants that I've learned since I've been here, and not only you and Carol, but the kind of people that have always been attracted and are a critical part of the success. Talk about the people and how critical it is that we maintain the culture, but also the standard of expectation of not only care, but presentation.
You look at the standard a lot of times and you say, well, times is changing. Time does change, and our standard never changes. But our main primary focus is to make sure that we are honoring God and honoring these kids in the best way that we can, and the families and have the staff. That's what we have to do. And so you don't have a better dedicated staff of people that really has the primary focus for their work ethics is to take care of kids.
Right.
And I'm proud of what you guys are doing right now. I mean, you're really trying to take care of the employees even at a higher level than what we've done in the past, but that doesn't mean that we did bad. We continue to grow. We continue to make progress all the time, but you continue that whole process of just really keeping the employees as your number one concern. And I know that's your heart.
And that's no different than the example you set when you first came as CEO back in 1978. You had a very small, limited budget that was actually in dire straits. And one of the first things you did is actually came in and give a raise to everybody. I mean, that's because you saw how important it was to make sure that you were invested in the employees. So I appreciate that as an example, because it helps us as we continue to go forward, make sure that we are making the right investments in the right way so we can continue to be able to serve well in the mission that God's called us. From 78 to the late 90s to when the Reynolds complex opened, tremendous amount of change in that time. But how fast has the change been to got to where we opened the tower?
Yeah, I mean,
or even the PMRU.
Yeah, the PMRU and the whole things are happening a lot quicker. And so what I like about the organization that we have even yet today is that you can look back even 3 years ago and you say, oh my goodness, look at all the progress we've made.
And so now we're talking about continuing on the master's plan that you handed to me and continue to grow from there. A tower that fronts 39th Street, an outpatient tower that potentially goes in the back with a parking garage. But even before then, making sure that our core is still strong and making sure we're making the right investments and remodeling all the units in the CC first, right?
You're not building for the sake of building. Oh, we've been building all of our lives, we need to build something else. That's not the deal. We have a very precise need to take care of kids, and their needs is growing, and you have to have the space to do that. And so it's pretty exciting to me to see the master's plan really come together. Now, obviously, the money that it's going to take to get this done, God's going to show up again, like He showed up on all these buildings, and He's going to help us get accomplish the master's plan.
From a board perspective, how soon could you foresee us even breaking ground on this? Because, in my mind, this was a 5 to 8 year plan, but you may have some different thoughts on how quickly we might be able to even get started on some of these things.
When God's behind you, I don't have a problem of believing the impossible. And so I believe that the master's plan, because the need is there.
Absolutely.
Not just because we can go raise the money.
Right.
I believe that it can happen, and it can happen within the next year or two, that we can really be in high gear of building some new buildings here, because I believe God's going to lay it upon the hearts of many people who really wants to take care of kids at a high degree. I think our state partners will continue to go alongside us. We haven't. God has built an incredible program to take care of some very special need kids for the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I think that continues to be the core mission, right? Making sure that we maximize the potential of every child, and I think that's where we continue to see us grow. And I think what's been exciting about that is the conversation that you and I've been having. And I was probably one of the ones I was most nervous about is asking the board and really the organization to support a name change. Obviously it hasn't always been the Children's Center. It started at the Oklahoma Orphanage with Mattie Mallory, but very intentionally went to the Children's Center. Was that back in the early 80s? I don't want to ever make change for change's sake, change being very intentional. I think that name, Bethany Children's Health Center, it gives us an opportunity to be a strong leader in pediatric care, but recognizing that we're more than just rehabilitation, that we're more than complex care, that we're continuing to grow in our expertise to really serve the holistic needs of the kids that might come through this facility. So the master's plan, $100 million worth of projects. What's exciting to you in just having that conversation about what are these buildings that we're going to be able to do with and build and serve?
When you look at all those buildings and you see the community center, you see the outpatient service area continue to grow, like you talk about increasing the core and all the things that we're going to do there. And I mean, just everything that we're doing, and having a place for families to come and actually stay here on the campus.
Wow,
it's absolutely incredible. And so the master's plan is really going to make an incredible impact on kids, families, and the staff, not only for the state of Oklahoma, but for the whole region.
Yeah, because what I love about the dream is so big, no one person or group of people can really take credit for it. Only God can provide what we are as an organization are dreaming about, and it's just so exciting to see how God's going to continue to just bless this opportunity to serve. Give me some closing words of wisdom that you would like to make sure that I always remember going forward.
I don't know whether it's actually words of wisdom, except that if we go back to the Bible, we know it's words of wisdom, and it's dependent on the Lord. And lean not on your own understanding, and God will provide our needs according to His riches and glory. So that's my words of wisdom, but it actually comes from a higher source.
Thank you.
Thank you.